next speaker is Ming-Chung Lee, who's an assistant professor in the School of Architecture at the University of Texas in Austin, and is going to be, he teaches urban design and physical planning, and his talk is entitled Scenario Planning with GIS. And let's see, do you have to... Oh, I did? Oh, yeah, there we go.
Well, in fact, I just moved to UNC Charlotte last summer. But before that, I did work at UT Austin. So.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Sorry. Do you recognize which one of these is yours here? Did I accidentally close it? Could be.
The number 8. I don't see the number 8 here. So.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Oh, I did. Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah, it should be in the folder. All right. I think I may have closed him out.
Yeah, number 8.
There he is. Good. Great.
It's a great honor to be here. I will just quickly introduce 2 regional planning projects I involved in the past 2 years. And both projects incorporate GIS as a tool to assist in their scenario planning processes. But they are slightly different, so I will go into the detail later. But first, just a brief background introduction. So I believe you all already know what scenario planning is. But if you don't, just quickly, some quick highlight. So it's a planning method typically for long-term strategic planning. So it requires a decision maker to consider various factors associated with the issue and incorporate different value, different views from stakeholders, and then allow them to quickly generate different scenarios looking into the future, and then they can start the trade-off by comparing cause and effects. So it has been applied to many different cases, including the long-range land use and transportation planning, typically at a regional scale. And it has recently become quite popular as a means to articulate, evaluate more compact development alternatives for future growth in some of the major metropolitan areas in the US. Examples including like Envision Utah, Chicago 2020 plan, also Envision Central Texas, and more recently, Imagine 2040 plan for the Triangle area in North Carolina. And US Department of Housing and Urban Development, working with 2 other federal agencies, they launched a new regional planning grant program in 2009, and with a clear recognition on the importance of using analytics and data. So the grant requires applicants to come up with different ways to use analytical tools and data to monitor performance and engage with citizens. Although they did not specify in their grant document, but they did recommend scenario planning can be used in the process. And some of the grantees did listen, and one of them is in Central Texas, and another one is in Carolinas. Okay, so the first project is called Connect Our Future, and cover 14 counties across North and South Carolina. And this is a regional visioning process. So the goal is to come up with a shared vision to guide future growth in the region. So they work with a private consultant, Seven Hills Town Planning, to develop a GIS model using community viz. And the model allows them to conduct development constraint analysis, also study build-out potentials with suitability analysis, and eventually allow them to allocate future growth to the region based on all this analysis. And also extensive public outreach effort has been conducted all over the 14-county area in order to increase citizen awareness of the project, and also collect input from the residents and also local officials about how they envision the future of their region. And eventually, all the public feedbacks, along with some other data from some survey studies, together enable them to come up with these four scenario concepts representing four different potential development patterns could take place in the next 30 years for the region. So the next step is to use the GIS model to compare and evaluate all these four different scenario concepts based on indicator measurements, such as look at urban footprint, look at loss of agricultural lands. And this is still an ongoing process and expect to be complete in the next few months. And the second project is called Sustainable Places Project, covers 5 counties in Central Texas. And unlike the previous one, because Central Texas already has a regional vision, which was done by a previous scenario planning processes called Envision Central Texas. The process is was complete in 2004. And the process identified a preferred scenario, which promotes a more compact development, concentrate future growth within a number of activity centers around the region. So for this particular scenario planning process, they were looking at different ways to implement those development principles identified by the regional vision. So they choose 5 cities, including City Austin, but for City Austin, only 1 neighborhood. And other 4 cities, just small town, population range between 20,000 and 30,000. And they use these 4 areas, 4 cities, as their demonstration site to test out some of the implementation strategies. Well, eventually they hope the idea can be applied to the whole region. And because the geographic scale is smaller, so a different set of tools was needed. And enable them to kind of take a closer look at physical, environmental, and economic condition of the local participating jurisdictions. And Envision Tomorrow, which is the tool, originally developed by Frequent Needs Associates in collaboration with UT Austin, and was chosen to serve this purpose. So the tool allows them to quickly generate scenarios starting from buildings as opposed to parcels or grid cells used by other scenario planning tools. And the tool has been used in a number of public workshops for the 5 demonstration sites to allow participants to quickly generate scenarios. At the same time, they can check on indicator measurement on the fly while they're working on the scenarios. And so finally, all the scenarios being synthesized together and generate 3 scenarios for each demonstration site. And like one scenario is business as usual, and 2 other more mixed use type of development with different housing choice. And also, they also come up with all the different indicator measurement, including demographic, environmental impact, or physical impact. And eventually, all this information coming out from the scenario planning process, because it's on a finer geographic scale, enable urban planners, designers to really look at physical design, the arrangement of all the physical components, housing, street, open space, or other amenities. So they can really think about placemaking, and they can do that with confidence based on sound economic, physical feasibility, and quality environmental protections. Okay, so again, I know you all know scenario planning, but to me, with its key focuses on systematic procedural approach, considerations of broader scale environmental factors, and also emphasis on performance assessment, public participation, and also promoting alternative change for future-oriented outcome. I think all these characteristics together present a very clear example showing how geodesign can be done. So finally, I just want to take a chance to acknowledge our institutional and private sector partners. So for the Charlotte project, the Design and Society Research Center at the UNC Charlotte, and also 70 Hill Town Planning. And for the Austin project, the Center for Sustainable Development at UT Austin, and also McKenna Adams Studio and Faculty Associates. Thank you very much.